3-0, starting off life with a new season 2. But the same thing we've seen. Right, this repeats. Very excited to see the Subaru, Emilia, Petra love triangle again. That's all that happens in this segment, right? Can't remember anything else. Subaru, did you know that Emilia can ice skateboard, among other revelations from the OVA? Julius. And Pastrash. You can't thank Otto and not thank Pastrash. The guy threw off the carriage to save himself. That's actually really big of Subaru to love Otto after what he saw Otto do. And here it comes. Here comes Dynamite dumping this on her. Wait a minute, is Emilia taking Subaru's advice right now? Is this just smiling and laughing off what kids say? Yikes, it's terrible. It's still terrible. Here we go. I feel like in real life, a lot of people just move on. I don't think Subaru can do that. I mean, I feel like he'll certainly think about it, which I wouldn't judge him for. She can be very encouraging sometimes. Yes. Smile, beautiful. I guess it's different coming from Rem. I mean, fair. We live in worlds where you're constantly being attacked by mist whales, among other things, and whatever this is, it's not a lot to smile about. And the economy. Just sit this one out. It's another Archbishop, possibly? Good God. Damn, it's tragic. All those land dragons killed. Is it an Archbishop? Lust, maybe? Because he's so good looking? Solid logic, I know. She was not bluffing. That hurts. He has the hands too. Gluttony. What? What? Oh, so they're all like this. So maybe that's just his night. Maybe it's not a sin. Maybe they both are. Greed. Yeah, there's 2 of them now. He reminds me a lot of Betelgeuse. Yeah, I like this guy by comparison. Yeah, that's a huge relief, and I'm feeling the difference already. Beetlejuice was really cool and interesting for his outlook and the content of what he said, but was hard to stand in the way he said it. Greed already looks really interesting. If we're following the Beetlejuice pattern of they actually celebrate the opposite of the sin they represent, maybe he'll actually really enjoy generosity. Gluttony, I don't know, but maybe he celebrates abundance, growth, creation. It's also interesting that Greed said that those petty indulgences are beneath him as greed, because gluttony and greed, I mean, they're not so far apart compared to the other sins. Because I was curious, I'm looking up the 7 sins on Wikipedia, and there's an excerpt about Thomas Aquinas, who came up with 5 different forms of gluttony, which include eating too expensively, eating too daintily, eating too much, eating too soon, and eating too eagerly. Thomas Aquinas seems like a really fun guy to share a meal with. Look at you, eating so daintily. Maybe this is the distinction between them, as it might apply to something like worship of a higher force. One is in the strata of waste. Waste, in a very abstract sense, maybe being the antithesis of growth and potential, whereas greed would be missing God for the material strata, which should be used as a pathway to God.
言いたいことはそれで十分ですか?
I don't know what recourse Rem has in this situation.
いずれあなたたちを打ち滅ぼしてくれる英雄が現れます。
She's talking about Subaru. I mean, from her eyes. And I guess now from my eyes, it makes sense.
英雄そいつは楽しみだ。で、あんたは誰?
ロズワール・エル・メイザース編脅迫が使用人筆頭。今はただ一人の愛しい人。
Big titles, both. This faith, man.
レム。
It's beautiful and terrifying. And she said her name.
レムの英雄が必ずやお前たちも。
I
この地に。
hope so? Yeah, he does like potential, right? It looks like that's the way that might go. And there's no one else. Everyone else is dead or armless. But they didn't just kill her. They didn't just hurt her. They erased her. Is that what gluttony does? He eats their entire existence. Weirdly, kind of Hisoka-like. The spark notes on this rant that I'm compelled to do. Potential is perhaps one simple way of imagining something like a universal will, and assuming our morality is a reflection of the natural order of things. Since we ourselves are leaves on the tree of the order of things, then you might imagine our morality and our outlook would reflect something close to that will. And though it's oversimplified, I think that kind of maps decently well. An easy start is the idea that killing is undesirable, because essentially it's a huge loss. It's a waste of potential. What is the value of a human soul, etc. But beyond that, we further evaluate it based on the situation and what was at risk otherwise. So we consider needless death, accidental death, pointless death to be somewhat different from fighting and killing to protect a loved one. Waste is generally negative, but there's different levels of waste depending on how much it harms the system that we're using to create or what it prevents us from creating. There's a relatively unspoken but very tangible measure of what is lost and what is gained in actions that, if you think about it, I think corresponds to how much nodal optionality does it create? How many things does that open up? What does the destruction of a thing cost as opposed to all the potential it could have created or would have led to the creation of? In that sense, overlooking the food element of gluttony and looking at it as a loss of potential, it's maybe one of the most evil things there could be. It has the potential to be way darker than just like daintily overeating. That might be sort of the grounding, the objective backing to why waste can be so terrible, why it would be a deadly sin. And that would make characters like Hisoka and Gluttony, who clearly recognize the potential, that's exactly what they're trying to destroy, so terrible. Are they caught up to them? Oh no, she's okay, right? She was consumed. Yeah, why does it happen to Rem? Why do they hate Rem so much? Nobody's allowed to believe in Subaru. They will have no memory of it. Oh, it's just a boy. I understand your panic, but I think you already know. There's no reason Amelia would react like that, and we have precedent. One of the horrific things for Subaru is it's not just that bad things are happening, it's that so many bad things happening that we don't understand. Wait, what? Wow, so it looks like Gluttony did just eat her spirit, not her body. It ate her whole existence, except for her physical form. This is terrible too, like on the heels of that amazing victory, riding that high, which is back to where we started with another thing we don't understand. Too big to fight. No clue how to proceed. I don't blame him for thinking this. Maybe you could speedrun it. He didn't even consider it. Speaking of purity, that's how it's tough, I don't know. Oh no, we missed it. I have mixed feelings about it, but there's a big part of me that admires the hell out of him for trying that. Not everyone would. Most people wouldn't. Most people would keep it rolling. Most people keep it rolling when they make like the most minor of mistakes or the most fixable of mistakes. Or I should say, they don't fix really important things even when the cost of fixing them is way lower than this. I mean, I don't know. Silver lining, I guess at least we have something. She's there and she's not dead. So this is a mystery we can maybe solve without redoing it. Not that we could redo it. Touch her lips for revenge. She'd probably like that. This is the first time this has happened too, right? This is the first time Return by Death has not been able to fix a problem, which I've been kind of expecting for a while.
残念だけど、僕の力でもこの子を眠りから目覚めさせることはできない。
Can we
その代
try?
わりにと言ってはなんだけど、暴食について少し話そうか。
So you know. That's actually really great. I mean, give us information. It gives us something to focus on and some understanding.
いろいろ抱え込んでる君にお願いするのは酷だけど。リア
Is
の
it
こ
for
と
Amelia? Yeah.
よろしく頼んだよ。
Yeah. Subaru stepped up into a big world. And I mean, so much more to hear from me now coming from Puck after watching that OVA.
我ながら不甲斐なくてめめしい話ですけど。
そんなことは彼女もそれを喜んでくれてい
She's
るの
okay.
ではないでしょうか。
Should have heard the way she spoke about you.
大変なご恩のある方と聞いているのに失礼を重ねて申し訳ありません。
ああ、仕方ないですよ。今は覚えることが多すぎるはずですから。気にしませんよ。クルシュさん。
I was confused there for a second. I thought it was her, but didn't understand why she was speaking that way. Oh, maybe she had her memories eaten, but not her identity. Wonder why. Sort of interesting that a little bit of her base personality is allowed to come out without the memories of who she is and what she's doing. It's a little bit different.
急がなくて平気ですよ。フェリちゃんはいつでもクルシュ様の味方ですから。それに今のクルシュ様
Yeah,
の
that's what I'm
新
saying.
たな魅力発見って
Exactly.
感じです。
She's a lot softer, which makes sense.
ヴィルヘルム様のことも思い出したいと努力しているのですが、
I wonder how deep the memory loss goes.
エミリア様が応戦に出るって時点で魔女教が出てくるのは分かってたけど。
やっぱり私のせいなのかな。
I really wish we could make this distinction more naturally between being intertwined with something and being at fault for something. Because distinction can be difficult, a lot of the words that we use often serve as a catch-all for a bunch of different related topics, but the distinctions can be really important. Like everything happens for a reason. Are you talking about purpose or are you talking about cause? If I invite my friend over to my house and on the way over he gets into a car accident, I'm at fault. But what exactly does that mean? And what am I supposed to do with that? It's true in the sense that if I hadn't called him over, he probably wouldn't have had the accident. But what is actually a value there? What actually matters? I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing about that that points to something obvious about my behavior that should be adjusted or reflected on or changed. Right now, I can't think of any other way how it's anything more than just baggage. If I do something I know to be wrong, then the wrongdoing is my fault. And the important thing there is probably the wrongdoing.
奴らはエミリア様をハーフエルフを根絶やしにしようって執着してる。
And just dig into her, why
今
don't
回
you?
のことはそのほんの片鱗
Oh
です。
no.
やめ
Oh
ろ、バカ
no.
バカしい。フェリスも言い方を考えろ。悪いのは鉄頭鉄尾。
Yeah, I'm with Subaru.
だろうが。
He's like got the Bible.
筋違いで味方を傷つけても世話ねえだろ。
Yeah, that applies to yourself too.
今の発言は聞き捨てなりません。
Oh, there she is.
謝罪しなさい。
There's that sternness.
事の責を問われるべき相手は明確です。そし
The
て
people who did the wrong.
エミリア様、謝罪いたします。スバル君もごめんね。
もういい。それより話を戻そう。
Amelia may be shocked at the fact that she gets an apology at all because she's just so used to it.
約束の同盟のお話だけど、なかったことにしない。
Why?
なんで今の流れで同盟を
Maybe
取
they
り消すって
need
話になる。
Protect
同盟は
Crush.
お互いの利益があるから結ぶ
Oh,
もの。
this again?
このまま魔女教に狙われ続けるエミリア様に協力しろと。
I think if Crush had her memories, she'd put her foot down right now.
スバル君、約束できる？
I can promise nothing except to do what is right.
それを。
私はその意見には反対ですな。
We've been through too much, and Wilhelm knows what's important, and he has a debt to Subaru. He can only hide, run and hide so long. I can understand wanting to take some time and regroup, but that's not all it is it?
皆様にとっても私と接することは戸惑いばかりだと思います。それでも今の私を尊重してくださる皆様にまずは感謝を。
Yeah, she's a natural leader.
あなたの言葉に従って安全な道を歩くこともできる。でも何も知らないまま流されるのは嫌なんです。
Can't just stick your head in the
何
sand.
かを選ぶなら誰かの言いなりではなく自分の意思で選びたい。
I love that immensely. I'd rather make a million of my own mistakes than one of someone else's. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, etc.
フェリス、
She's just like this. It's okay to be scared. I'm scared too.
聖域に避難したラムたちと交流して、それにロズワールにもちゃんと話さなきゃ。
I don't know about that last part.
俺は強いって。
What was with the
お前は言っ
knife?
てくれたけど、
The knife glance.
お前がいてくれなきゃ、 そうやって強がる俺ってやつも見つからねえみてえだよ。
That's all right. One thing I think was really nice for me to learn over the last, 5 years or so, is it solves a lot of problems in the question of self-belief versus action, is that you actually don't need to believe in yourself or believe in an outcome 100% to make it happen. It's possible to surprise yourself and exceed your own expectations. It's possible for life to surprise you. That's abundantly obvious on the negative side, less obvious on the positive side, but it's the same thing. The important thing is what you do and what you do over time, and that's a choice that happens moment to moment. And it's almost a mistake to try to imagine the totality of it from the onset. It's pretty amazing what can accumulate by repeatedly throwing yourself at something, as long as you have a certain minimum amount of reflection from the feedback you get from that experience. Even in a moment of failure, it's not necessarily a failure if that leads to some kind of feedback and reflection, if that informs future attempts. A very simple example, I never possibly could have imagined, and probably never would have started if I was thinking about making over 1,000 YouTube videos. But it wasn't over 1,000 YouTube videos in practice. It was like one video at a time. And the same is true for just so many things in my life that I value. Subaru, like, we know he has it. You know, he has it despite the fear, he has it despite the mistakes. And I think what it comes down to is that he just keeps trying. And he also is humble enough to reflect on what he's doing wrong.
なんか用事あった。
なきゃ来ちゃいけない。私もこの子レムさんの関係者のはずでしょ。
Yeah, I'm not sure I would say you were close though.
ラムの妹なのは説明いらないでしょ。
Oh, is that why they look alike?
わかる。だってラムとそっくりなんだもん。間違うわけないわ。
Imagine how crazy this is for Ram especially. Does Ram just feel like empty and lost? It's weird, because Ram is such a big part of her identity.
情けねえな、俺。
うんうん。そんなことない。
2 steps forward, 1 step backwards.
スバルにすごく助けられてる。本当に本当。きっと大丈夫。なんて分かったようなことを私言えない。
But that's fine. It's great. I think she's approaching the emotional realm of this problem.
何もわからない私が何を言ってもスバルを傷つけるだけだと思うから。
It's a tough spot, yeah. But your effort shines through, and the intent.
レムのこと一人で抱え込んで悩もうとし
Wow,
な
this
い
is
で。
big.
私もちゃんと
Whoa.
君はレムのこと何にも覚えてないのに。
It doesn't have to be for Ram necessarily.
大事に思ってる子なんでしょ。
And, I mean, we can abstract a bit of it, right?
私も助けてあげたいって思うのはそんなに不思議。
I don't think it's strange. I mean, like, if I was convinced that I had forgotten one of my best friends, that's enough for me to want to see it through. You just have enough of those principles in abstraction that you can understand. If you think about people suffering in the world, most people don't feel that as potently as they would watching a loved one suffer. But it's not like we don't understand it. It's just a different thing.
スバルが助けてくれたみたいに今度は私もスバルを助けたい。スバルが傷ついているなら何とかしてあげたい。
This could be good. This could be something way more important and beautiful than the romance.
エミリアタンすげえな。
そう。
You're both in the same room doing the same
スバル
thing.
の方がもっとすごいと思うけど。
You're both in the same room doing the same thing.
一つお願いがあるんだけど。
何？
後ろ向いててくれる。ちょっと泣く。
Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. I got nervous. Wait, I'm still nervous. Okay. I can still hear you. Yeah, that crash, man. This never ends. This is a weird moment, though. Oh, it's such a mixed range of emotions because it's so terrible, but also it's really sweet. It's a lot. It's overwhelming.
俺は必ず
There it is.
お前を取り戻す。
And I believe him. He's built credibility.
お前の英雄が必ずお前を迎えに行く。待ってろ。レム。
Each one's promise. Wow, huge start to season 2. It's really interesting. Subaru, he looks a lot like Subaru still. He's Subaru, but also he's a different person. He feels more like a man. He's becoming the best version of Subaru gradually, even if there are a lot of pitfalls along the way, which is just how it goes, right? But challenge is a way of also escalating with capability. So like, as he gets more and more capable, he also becomes responsible for an increasing amount, and people look to him to be the answer to an increasing amount of things. And the higher up you go in both your ability and your responsibility, the less people you have to turn to for answers, which is one of the reasons why I think Emilia's tact here is so great and moving. She can't really solve it for Subaru, and she knows that, but she can be there for him. She can be supportive for him, and she can give him the benefit of the doubt and understanding, which is a lot. I mean, it's so much more than we had in season 1 in a lot of cases. Just having someone listen to you. And then also, because he's fighting the Witches cult, he defeated Sloth and the Whale, which basically moves him up the rankings in the Witches cult, brings him more to their attention, and summons not one, but 2 new authorities that he has to deal with. I guess in a way that is very RPG-like, which makes sense because games sort of serve as a microcosm for that lesson. Also, if Ram loved Subaru before, imagine how she's going to feel about him after he saves her from this.